I don't know about you, but jumping into an ice bath, even now, I've been teaching people to do this for 12 years now. I was one of the very early adopters. Even, at the time when Wim was just starting to be featured in TV shows and all that. And it's still not easy. I don't love jumping into ice. Like I feel when you're done. So that's an example of it. And you talked about squatting 600 pounds for reps. When you use the kind of technology that I'm talking about, I belt squatted 1,600 pounds and it ruined my shoes. And I write about it in Smarter, Not Harder. Now, Ben can kick my ass in lifting. He's smarter at that. Not smarter. He's stronger at that stuff than I am. I don't know if he's smarter or not. But the reason I could do that is Ben is working with gravity and your body is terrified of gravity, even if you're not. Now, one of the things I did at the biohacking conference a couple of years ago, and this is a conference we're looking for 4,000 people this year in June. It's biohackingconference.com. And I always have people do something that's scary and kind of pushes the edges. Tony Robbins will have you walk on coals. We had a 3-story platform on top of the building, and you jumped off the platform onto a stuntman cushion. And the owner of the hotel actually came to the edge of the platform. Really cool guy. And he looked down and he said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And we talked him through it, and he ended up coming back and like running and jumping and closing his eyes. Same thing if you're at the edge of a high dive. What's stopping you? You know you're not going to die, but there's a feeling that you're going to die. That's the meat operating system. And the way you win in programming it is you do something where it thinks it will fail and you will be injured, and you don't get injured. And then it goes, oh, I guess I can do it. So then it adapts if it has the right material and the right signal for adaptation. So cold therapy is one thing. And when I did that 1,600 pounds, there's a lot of guys listening to this going, Dave, I call BS on you. Here's how I did it. We use an artificial intelligence driven machine that measures foot pounds of force. If you pick up a dumbbell, it wobbles. And when it wobbles, it actually weighs more because force equals mass times acceleration. The acceleration of gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. In other words, if you throw a dumbbell up in the air, when you catch it, it's not going to weigh whatever it weighed. You're going to have to put a lot of force into it to stop all that acceleration. So since your body holds back your ability to exert fully because it knows there's gravity, but I list a couple ways in the book to pull gravity out of the system or change the signal that gravity is putting into the system so the body will adapt in a different way. And that's one of those neat technologies. That technology is at Upgrade Labs. And again, guys, own in upgradelabs.com. If you're saying there's not one in my town, you can put one there. We're opening dozens, but it can never be fast enough for my tastes. And what's fascinating is if you were to go home and say, well, how do I pull gravity out of my workout, Dave? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it does. One of the examples in the book is resistance bands. Resistance bands do not resist the way gravity does. So when you go to pick up one of those, the little proprioceptors, the little sensors in your meat operating system that are here in your arm, and they're telling you what to do. They're deciding how much force you can take. They're telling you whether you should feel resistance or pain, even if you're not injured. They're the ones who are sending you a signal that you can't do it. And when you send them a mixed up signal, they go, what do you mean stretchy crap? It doesn't move the way gravity does. I don't know what to do. When they don't know what to do, what are they going to do? They're going to man up and they're going to get stronger. So that's doing hard stuff. But what you're actually talking about, at least I would argue, and I've interviewed Jocko live at one of my book signings, and I think he's just a remarkable guy. We're talking about doing painful things versus hard things. They're different animals. And there is a very strong neurological case. And I don't go as deep into that in Smarter, Not Harder, because it's kind of a special thing, but it works especially for addiction. And it's choosing pain and doing it for a brief period of time so that you feel better the rest of the day. The primary example there is cold therapy. It's going to suck for 5 minutes, but the number of people who help to manage their addiction with cold therapy is very high because it changes dopamine signaling in the body. But there are other things that are in all of recorded history. Saunas, the kind where you're going to throw up, like a sweat lodge, not just a hot sauna where it's hot for a while, but enough where you feel like you're going to die. I've been in a sweat lodge with a Native American guide who was one of the sun dancers. And these are some of the toughest guys on earth.
Are these like 220 degrees and above? Is that kind of what you're getting into?
And like these are guys who do like piercings and hang themselves from poles and dance, like that. But they're doing that for a specific reason. It's not mutilation. It's actually to show themselves that they're in charge of themselves, and to create a certain level of pain that puts them in an altered state. Same as getting a lot of tattoos. So you see a lot of addicts with tattoos. They're actually self-medicating by choosing a painful experience that then changes how they relate to reality. You're showing the operating system it can do that. You're showing it can face the pain, and it becomes stronger and more resilient. It's also the reason so many addicts are into BDSM. You give an addict a good spanking, and they're less of an addict. God, I don't know why that works, but ask any professional dominatrix. I know, I interviewed two of them on stage at the biohacking conference. That's how it works. So, all of these, whether you're going to sprint like a tiger is going to eat you and then rest, or you're going to walk on coals or jump off a building or submerge yourself in ice cold water or do any of those other things that your body's screaming at you and you do it anyway, the body learns who's in charge. And that's a different experience, and it changes your brain, and it makes you a more powerful and a more dangerous person. But all of those work better if you read the first two chapters of the book, so you understand there's a meat operating system working against your interests but keeping you alive, and you understand that giving it enough minerals so it can build the stuff you told it to build, and giving it enough fat soluble vitamins so it can actually put the minerals where they go so it can build a stronger human, that really matters. And I believe that if you do that kind of a thing and you set your body up to change, you set your mind up to change. I've seen it over and over and over. And you got to eat the right foods and not eat some stuff that puts the brakes on. You can transform yourself in a small period of time. And if instead you eat a allegedly healthy, low calorie, plant based wuss diet that makes you weak, it's no wonder you're going to pick up the porn. And frankly, if you're still eating that diet while you watch this, I mean, the psychologist would hate me for saying this, but you kind of did it to yourself. Get the hardware working and then work on the software, because fixing the software on your computer when half your memory is missing and your hard drive is broken is kind of a stupid move. So it starts with how you send a signal into your environment about the availability and safety of the world of nutrients. Does it get enough energy, and is the energy full of nutrients it can use?